Hi, everybody. This is Marie Gervais, and I wanted to talk to you today. I'm with Shift Management, but I wanted to talk to you today about the importance of knowing how to present yourself. If you can present yourself really well when you are looking for a job and you have an interview, then you are much more likely to get the job. One of the things people forget about is that they're so nervous about how they look that they end up not paying attention to things they need to practice in advance. And they may have a lot of fears that the other person isn't even thinking about. And so they don't present themselves as clearly as they could if they were really thinking about it. And welcome to the broadcast. If you're just coming in, show me some likes, that would be great. And if you have a question, please type it into the chat box so that I can answer it, because I would be happy to answer questions for you. You can put some live comments on. So Shaw Khan, glad you're on here. Thank you. So what's happening is I wanted to talk about some of the special things you need to do in Canada to be considered a good hire in how you present yourself. And the first one is in person. The next one is on the phone. And then the next one is email. Sorry. So in person is the most important one because you basically only have about 3 seconds to make an impression on someone, and they've already judged you. So since you don't really want that to be an issue, you want to make sure that you've got things happening the way you want them to happen. Then everything should be working. Now, I just want to make sure you can hear me okay, because I'm sort of toggling between two things. So if you can't hear me, let me know. So Shaw, you're from Huntsville. That's wonderful. Great. Glad to know that. Okay. So what I wanted to say is when you're presenting yourself, it's first off, you need to look the person in the eye and smile. Now, in a lot of cultures, that's considered to be disrespectful. You wouldn't look at somebody who's older than you. You wouldn't look at somebody who was, say, a woman if you're being interviewed by a woman. But in Canada, you look the person in the eye and you smile, and you just do it briefly. And you also shake hands, and there's a specific way Canadians like to have their hands shaken. So you shake hands with 3 pumps, 1, 2, 3. So when you're shaking hands, you shake 3 times. You look at the person in the eyes and you smile. It doesn't take very long. It maybe takes less than 3 or 4 seconds. So if you wait too long or if you don't smile, it's going to be a problem. The smiling is really important. Okay. The other thing that you need to know when you're presenting yourself is to keep thinking that you want to make the other person feel comfortable with you. And so that the other person feels comfortable with you, when you introduce yourself, make sure you say your name slowly and clearly. And that's another thing that a lot of immigrants, they're sort of worried the other person won't be listening to them. And so they go, oh, my name is, and you don't hear the name, and it looks like they're ashamed of their own name, and they're worried the other person won't understand them. So they make it worse. So you want to introduce yourself slowly, clearly, and showing pride in your name. And maybe you need to help the interviewer understand a little bit about how to say your name. And that's good, because if the interviewer can say your name, they are much more likely to hire you. If they can't remember how to pronounce your name, you will almost always be rejected from the next step list. So I have a sister. My sister's name is Nelda. And it seems like it would be an easy name to pronounce and to say. But people have always had problems with her name. And so she always used to teach people when she was little how to say her name and even how to spell it. And she kept on doing that as an adult. One of my daughters is named Zohreh. It's a Persian name. And so people often have no idea how to pronounce it. When they see a white girl who's got the name Zohreh, they don't know what to do. So from the time she was little, Zohreh used to present herself like this. Hi, my name is Zohreh. It's like Zo, and it's like Ray, like a stingray. Can you say it? See if you can say my name. And she'd say it in a really exciting way, right? And so people would go, oh, it's like, what? How did you say it? It's like Zohreh. Nobody ever forgot her because she always said their name. And she said her name really clearly. She taught them how to pronounce it. She asked them to say it back to her. And she has always found that really useful. And as a teenager, she said, I have to do that, because if I just tell people my name, it's like zip right over their head. They never remember it or understand what it is. And as an adult, that's how she got all the jobs she got. She was able to help them remember her name. So saying your name slowly, clearly, being proud of it, and teaching people how to say it is really important. Now, if you have a really, really long name, like let's say your name is like super long, like some of the Greek names or some of the Indian names are really long, maybe you could make it easier by introducing yourself with a short version of your name. And later, you tell people you would prefer they call you the long version. But when you're trying to get a job and you're looking for an interview, you might like to use the short version of your name when you're introducing yourself to people. So that's really, really good too. And Shaw, thank you. If you have any specific questions as we're going through about how to present yourself, let me know. And other people that are online, thanks for joining me. If you have a question, please type it in and I will see it and I'll try to answer it. So the other thing to remember when you are speaking to people in Canada in an interview setting is you want to be friendly and polite and professional. So people are expecting you to look friendly. So don't look too serious. This is something that I have a lot of friends from Cameroon, for example, say that when you go to a job interview, you have to be very serious and not smile. But here you have to look friendly and engaging, right? So you do that, but you're still professional. So you're not really, really friendly. You're not cracking a whole bunch of jokes. You're still professional looking. Okay, so that's another important point. The other thing is to expect that when you're introducing yourself to people, that they will not understand you and you will not understand them. That's a given. Now, in people who are from the same country and speak the same language with the same accent and the same dialect, people still only hear less than 50% of what they say to each other. Okay? So think about that. Most of the time, people are only hearing 50% of what you say, and you're only hearing 50% of what they say. And if you come from another country and both of you are struggling to understand each other's accents, you're understanding even less, right? So don't be afraid to clarify. So you can say, would you mind saying that again? Or could you explain that to me another way? Or I'm not sure I caught the question. That's perfectly fine and acceptable to do that in Canada. And they will, don't be offended if people say, I can't understand you, or can you say that again? You may even have to write it out. Don't take it personally. If people don't speak more than one language, they have trouble with names and with accents, and it takes them a little while to get going with all that stuff. So that's another important point. The other thing is that when you come in and after you've shaken hands and greeted people, and different cultures have different protocols about whether you should stand or sit or how high you should be with the person that is with you, or however that works. So in Canada, what you do is if they don't invite you to sit down, because they usually will, then you can choose a spot that looks like a place where you should sit and say, may I sit here? Or should I sit here for the interview? And then that way people will start answering you. And they're also starting to say yes to you when you ask a few little questions like that. Okay. So the other thing is to be interested in the other person. So to focus more on the other person who's interviewing you than to focus on your feelings. It's hard to do that because you're usually nervous, right? But focus on how can I make this other person feel comfortable? What could I say that would help them to feel that we're in this together and that it's a great thing that we're spending some time together. So, and that involves also being very polite. So you want to make sure that you're polite before and afterwards, but don't be really deferential. So deferential means that you're going, oh, oh, yes, it's such an honor to meet you. This is such a wonderful place. You're such a great person. This is an amazing company. I'm just so in awe. Like, don't do that. That's also a problem. You just want to say polite and courteous and just keep it at that. So now 2 more quick things, just to give you some more tips. One is that when you have an email, your email is what people see of you before they even meet you. So you need to have an email that has your name in it. Don't have an email that doesn't have your name. If your name isn't there, It's another reason why people can forget you. And if it says something like hot cheeks or I love you, I had somebody sent me an email and the email came from an email address that said I love you. That looks like spam. Make sure you have a professional email that has your name in it. Gmail costs nothing, right? I would go with the Gmail free account and put your name, your first name and your last name in it, or the shortened version of your name and the Gmail at gmail.com, because that way you look professional. And then when you're addressing people in the email, it's the same way as you would be addressing them in person. So you say, hello, so-and-so, my name is so-and-so, and then you explain a little bit about it and you sign your name. Every day I get emails from people who haven't signed their name. That's just rude. Don't do that. Always address the person by name and then sign your name at the end of the email. And one final thing about phone calls. Employers are likely to phone you. If you never answer your phone because you don't recognize the number, you could be missing a job. So answer your phone and make sure you have a voicemail that is professional, that says your name slowly and clearly and says, if I don't get back to you right away, I will shortly. Please leave the time and date when you called so I can get back to you, and leave your number, because you want to make sure you've got all of that information, okay? You want to make sure you've got their name, their number, and it should say that in your voicemail. If you don't have a voicemail, it looks suspicious. And if you don't, if you don't answer your phone, it looks suspicious. And if you have a voicemail that's weird or strange, it looks suspicious. And when you answer the phone, answer it in the same friendly, professional way. So you're going to answer the phone, and you're going to go, oh, hello, this is Marie speaking. So and then wait for the other person to say something to you. So we have a whole bunch of videos about this. So there are people who answer the phone and go, they say nothing because they're waiting for the other person to speak. Do not do that in Canada. That's a big no-no, okay? You answer the phone, it rings, say, hello, this is Marie. So, they know that they've got the right number. And the other thing is, when you answer the phone, make sure that you get the information from the other person and that you speak to them kindly and professionally. Another thing that happens is I phone people and they answer the phone, they go, yeah, who are you? Why are you calling me? Well, you know what? I could be offering you a $200,000 job and I just decided not to because you were not polite and friendly and professional on the phone. So you say your name and you say, then when they say something, you say, oh, that's great. Thank you so much for calling me. I'm really happy to hear from you. So that, and make sure that you sound approachable, right? So now these are things that are in your control. Make sure you do them, because that's going to increase your chances of getting to the next step of getting work. If you want to get work, you have to be approachable, friendly, you have to be searchable, have a phone that people can call you on, have a voicemail that people can understand and that's professional, and an email that sounds like it's got your name on it and that you're not some kind of a spammer. So those are my tips for you today. I hope you found them useful. If you want more useful tips on finding work, you can go to, and I'm just going to pull this up here if I can find it. You can go to the my website. Sorry, my agenda just got lost here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'll pull that up again. So you can go to, I have a course. It's $7. It's not very expensive. So it's just it's a quick course that shows you how to find work, how to identify the places where you're going to be able to find work and get your mind around it, how to search the market and make sure there's work in your field, and then how to strategize for it. It takes 5 hours to do it. It costs you $7, and you can get it by going to this website. It's Shift Workplace. That's my company website. So shiftworkplace.com, and then /courses, and then you go to Canadian Workplace, finding the job you want. So it's a really good deal. I mean, it's something that you're going to use, and you should totally take advantage of it. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. And thank you very much for listening. If you want to see more posts and more things, join my Canadian Workplace Face group page, and you can ask to join the group by the same name. And we can be in touch and sharing good information about finding work in Canada. So have a great day, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to my video.